Welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets.
The transparency, the openness, the communication is more than you could expect. I'm sold.
Don't let the fact that you don't know something or don't know enough about something hold you back.
I knew I wanted to invest. What better way to invest than to invest in what I already know that I love, which is real estate.
It was initially the 12% return, but it quickly turned into the people.
All right, welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets. We have a great special guest with us here today, Devin Allen. Hey, Devin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Devin is a local celebrity, at least in my mind. And for anyone who's been in the Valley, probably knows Devin for his past here with track. Went to Brophy, ended up going to Oregon's, been in the Olympics. We're going to talk a bit about all of that. Now he's playing for the Eagles. And so we're really excited to have him. Today is, and this week's a bye week.
Yeah, we got a bye week, so
we
about
said
6-7 days off.
Yeah, so you said I got to get on Kiss My Assets podcast.
This is my first stop. Yeah, I haven't even gone home yet.
Yeah, straight from the airport. Yeah, straight from the airport, right on Kiss My Assets. So excited to have you. He's also done some really cool investing, and when him and Bart grew up together, so they know each other. Bart runs investor relations here. It's going to be a fun conversation about his perspective as a professional athlete, multi-sport athlete, and how he's planning to transition from that at some point into becoming a normal, schlub like the rest of us that has a job, and figuring out how do you maximize your time as an athlete, and so that you're set up from an investment standpoint. So excited to jump into that. Maybe you could just tell us a bit about your background for people who don't know you, growing up in Arizona, your sports background, and then to we'll take it from there to when you ended up at Oregon.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me. But the easy story to tell is I met Bart when I was about 5 years old.
Yep.
I moved to Phoenix, Arizona from Seattle, where I'm originally from, and me and my family were just hanging out one day, went to Krispy Kreme Donuts.
Yeah.
And we saw, I don't know if we saw Bart, but we saw some kids about my age dressed in like their football gear. And then Tim Watson, who was the football coach, head football coach of the team I then joined, Air Raid. And
that's flag football?
No, it was tackle football.
Okay.
Like we were like five years old.
Our
thumping.
dads put us in tackle football pretty young.
Nice.
Yeah. So then my dad's a friendly guy. He was talking to Tim and like, hey, we just moved here. You guys play football. Like, what is this about? Joined their team, and we've been friends ever since. We played football together for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then pretty much we were undefeated.
Yeah.
So like we were really good when we were young kids, and that's kind of my athletic journey started there. In terms of my sports, I started playing football, played basketball, baseball, all the sports. And then when I was about 11 or 12, started running track. And that's another interesting story. I was doing like the Boys and Girls Club thing in the summer. My parents would drop you off during the day, and you spend all day there, and they'd come pick you up. And one of the volunteers there was a Judith Onyepanuka, who was a All-American at USC in track and field.
Wow.
Yeah, she went to Peoria. She's local. And she was like, hey, you're pretty fast. Like after seeing me run one day, she's like, you should run track. So I told my dad about that. And then next season started running track, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know at my school, they wanted all the football players to run track to get faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so those two sports really work together well, because if you can get fast, that's going to help you on the football field. And then, but in your case, you ended up taking track quite a ways. So maybe let's talk about that for a minute. So you went to Brophy, which is here in Central Phoenix, just down the road. And maybe you can talk a little bit about the track side of it and the Olympic side of it, to tell folks who may not know a bit about that story.
Yeah. So I went to Brophy, Central Phoenix, played football, ran track there. Did well in both. Was I don't know how many times state champion in track in multiple events, sprints and hurdles. And then I went to University of Oregon, played football, ran track there. And my junior year, 2016, I made my first Olympic track team, won the Olympic trials in the U.S. as a junior. Won USA's as a freshman in college as well. So I was doing pretty well, like on the world stage. And then in my first Olympics, got fifth. Got hurt actually in 2015, tore my ACL playing in the Rose Bowl. The year we went to the national championship. And then the year after the Olympics, got hurt again playing football at Oregon. So then I kind of decided, all right, I'm going to step away from football and focus on this track thing, because I had just got fifth place in the Olympics, and I was kind of like, it's a good finish, but I was a little bit upset just like with how everything was going, in terms of just like, man, if I focus on this track thing, I think I could really do well. So I spent the last 5 years just running track, and then made my second Olympic team. Got fourth place in Tokyo Olympics, and then decided after that, like, hey, it's time to try and pick up the football again and start the hoop dreams, as we would call it, and play football again. So I did a pro day at Oregon that same year in 2022, and got signed and been playing with them, the Philadelphia Eagles, ever since.
So when you went to Oregon, were you a dual athlete?
Yeah,
that was part of the deal?
Two-sport athlete, yeah, that's part of the deal. And
does track and football, do the seasons run up against each other, or do they kind of correlate pretty well?
They mesh really well. The only part of the season that really goes together is indoors early. Like we start indoor track at about December, January, and so I didn't start until January running track, so I didn't do much indoor stuff when I was at Oregon. But yeah, the seasons mesh because the summer season rolls until like July, August, and that's when football starts. And so I'm already in great shape coming off a track season right into football. And
that seems like a perfect on ramp to the football season. And which sport do you have more just passion, love for? Is there one that if you could just pick one that for that reason that stands out, or you love them equally?
Yeah, it's very tough to decide that, but I think football is so unique in the team aspect, and just like the buildup of a whole season. Playing football is much different than track, because in track I'm mostly training by myself. I compete by myself, and it's kind of just like all on me. Yeah. But in football, like, you win and you could have a good game or a bad game, and it doesn't really matter. Like, everybody's still like pumped up and excited and dancing in the locker room, and the coaches are hyped up and everybody's excited going to the week. When you have a big opponent like we had last week playing the Cowboys, and it's a different atmosphere. You can just feel it, and that's really what's fun for me. Playing the game is fun as well. I mean, football itself is an interesting game, and it's very physical and a lot of different moving parts in terms of just having to relearn everything for me, like being off for so long. But just running around and playing is really fun. But track, I do enjoy track because I get to travel. That's like the biggest perk is I travel all around the world to compete.
Yeah. Congrats on the win, by the way, over the Cowboys last week.
Yeah, so, it's a big one.
So tell us a little bit about your currently playing for Philadelphia Eagles. You guys went to the Super Bowl last year. What are your ambitions? You've been with them for several years now, and I know you played a lot in the preseason. Bart was sharing all your posts online, so I saw those and follow you as well. But what's it like playing for an NFL team? What's your experience been like, and what are kind of your ambitions with the NFL?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Last year was pretty much a development year for me, being off for 6 years, just kind of getting my feet wet and getting back into playing football, learning the schemes of the offense and understanding defensive formations and coverages, and then just getting back into moving around like a football player. And then this year, feeling much more comfortable and trying to like grow my role in terms of playing receiver and special teams.
Yep.
So doing that, like kick returning and being a gunner and stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm still on practice squad. I was elevated twice this year already. So I played in 2 games, the Bucs game and the Jets game on special teams. So the next step for me is just to continue to grow that role, whether it's like more special teams work as a, gunner, kick returner, or, and getting into playing receiver. But, it's kind of tough with we have, AJ Brown, the best receiver in the league right now.
Yeah.
And then Devontae Smith. Yeah, Devontae Smith, who's one of the best in the league as well, and the Heisman Trophy winner. And
right.
So it's a tough team to break through.
You also got Britt Covey from University of Utah.
Covey, that's my guy. No, and that's the thing. Like all these guys that we have, it's so interesting in the NFL, and now finally being here is, you think everybody on pretty much every roster and all the practice squads are like they were the guy at some point in their career, right? Probably in college and then maybe at some point in the NFL. And so it's so competitive that like the margin of error is so small and like everybody's so close that sometimes it's like, all right, who has a better day today, or like who fits the scheme more, or who can do more things. That's why it's important for me especially, like to play special teams and make plays on that. Because now if I'm on the active roster playing special teams, then there might be like, all right, well, Devin can play receiver for sure. Let's put some stuff in the game plan to scheme, use his speed and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what I see myself doing in the future.
Well, and what's amazing to me is coming off of that injury, after not playing for 5-6 years, and now you're on an NFL team is amazing. I mean, how'd you do that? Like most people would have probably said, NFL is probably not going to happen for me. Like, and now you've made the roster 2 years in a row. So how did you get through that, and kind of tell us about that process?
Yeah, I think it was kind of always a dream of mine growing up, and playing football my whole life. I played with Bart so many years, and we played against each other in high school, and going off to college and now the pros. I wanted to give myself a shot. I would, if I didn't do it, like try to play football, even after 5-6 years not doing it, I would have been upset in 10-15 years when I was retired from sports. Like, oh man, I wish I would have done it. So now that I'm here and being around the guys and stuff like that, I know I belong in terms of my athletic ability and me being able to compete. So now it's just, like I said, just now breaking through that final wall of, building my role in the team specifically, and then, just getting more playing time and continuing to improve. And that's, what I've been doing the last year and a half.
And you're obviously very fast. How does your speed compare to the other guys on the team? Like, just give us some sort of skill.
I mean, I'm definitely fast. I would say definitely the fastest guy on the team, but it's hard to like judge so much because everybody's so different in terms of their skill set, and there's a lot of fast guys. Like all these guys are great athletes. Like they're studs, right? Like even, Britton Covey being, a little bit smaller and quicker. Like if you did like a 5-yard race or 10-yard race, like he probably would win, against everybody. He's so quick, and, he's real shifty and makes cuts like I've never seen before. And same thing with Devontae Smith, gets in and out of breaks and really accelerates well. And AJ runs, 22, 23 miles an hour at 230. Like, so all those guys are different. Like they're different. Like, okay, I'm the fast guy, but like, there's definitely some perks to having a different kind of skill set. For me, it's helpful just because I can stretch the field in the offense. And then as a guy on special teams, like there's not really, especially on punt, right? You punt the ball, it's in the air for 5 seconds. Like you hit the ball 60 yards. Hopefully you have a guy that can get down there in 5 seconds. So that's my main job right now is like my job. Like I was joking with our special teams coordinator about making a tackle. And he was like, well, should we have you out there so you don't have to make a tackle? He's like, because we want you to make everybody fair catch. Like get down there so quick that they have the fair catch. And I'm like, that makes sense. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So Bart, what do you think about having one of your best friends in the NFL? No,
it's great. It's been cool to be able to hear perspective like this, but then also throughout the week, check in, see how he's doing. And I think a cool takeaway is what he said is looking back and regretting. That's something that I look up to Devin in that regard, where it's I don't ever want to look back and regret that I didn't do something. So if people are watching, make sure that you just try it.
Yeah, and some things you just have a window for. So if you don't do it in that window, so it's moved on.
Yeah, and Bart's always offering when I'm in town to throw the ball with me. So if I want to get some work in, he's like, "Hey, bro, I got the ball in the car." Yeah, he has one with him at all times.
Yeah,
that's a good friend. I play in a flag football league, so we need a sub this week if you're available Friday night. And I'm the QB, so
yeah, that'd be tough. I mean, I could maybe sneak in, but if
they probably wouldn't love that.
If they found out, that would not be good.
So the other interesting thing about professional athletes is your earnings really occur early in life when you have very little knowledge when it comes to investing. I mean, 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, starting to get really big incomes. And from an athlete standpoint, that's your highest income, maybe till your early 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah.
And then the income changes. And so really important to start thinking about that young and planning in a way that most of the rest of us, we have our 20s to make stupid decisions. Not a big deal because we're not playing with much money.
Yeah.
So how do you think about money investing at this stage, and what's kind of been your big influence to start investing at this stage?
Yeah, I think for me, it's exactly what you said. I had good influences right when I started as a pro athlete, as like 22 years old, running track, and my coach in college was like, "Hey, like, you're just starting to make some money. If you can live like a college kid still for like the next few years while you're, still doing everything I was doing was the same I was doing in college. It's not like my life changed really, like what I did day to day. I just wasn't going to class anymore. So I hired a financial advisor out in Eugene, actually, who was a pole vaulter in the 2000s. His name's John Derby, and so we have a really good connection and friendship, and kind of went through what my goals were in terms of like when I want to retire, how much money I want to have, like how much money it's going to take every year to invest in order to accomplish that, and then a few examples of like ways I can fill those buckets, and not put my money in all one thing, and so then from there I kind of just committed to doing that. And John's really good. He'll text me and be like, "Hey, you got your committed payment coming up in a month, so make sure you got the money so we can start moving it around, deciding what we could do." You'll call me when there's changes in the market. Obviously with COVID, that was a big swing, positive and then negative, and so I was real active during that time, which was good for me in the long run. And then my uncle does real estate in Chicago, and that's kind of where I started with him, doing some real estate investing, getting my feet wet with that. And yeah, it's been good so far. But like you said, obviously, hopefully I have like a long career and can earn a lot of money for the next 10 years. But the goal is to earn, like what I'm earning now is to kind of help me survive and live the lifestyle I want to live post.
After. Yeah. Because I know salaries in the NFL are great. I mean, even, starting at minimum all the way up to
sure.
Deshaun Watson and all the other guys that are way up there. But so your team, you have a financial advisor. Do you work with an agent, or do you do that on your own?
Yeah, I have two agents actually. I have a football and track agent.
Yeah.
They don't do too much with the finance side of it. They do help me organize my bills, like with like my coaches I pay, my therapists I pay, and then they help me keep track of my expenses mostly, especially on the track side when I travel a lot and there's hotels involved and small things here and there that really add up at the end of the year. But yeah, other than that, mostly my financial advisor, and then advice. Just I hate to say, like, the internet's a good tool. Like there's a lot of people talking about a lot of different things, but if you do your own research, once you like are sparked interest by a topic, like a lot of times there's some truth, whether it's real estate investing or stock investing or life insurance or whatever you're interested in doing.
Yeah. And there's so many stories of athletes more in the like 90s, 80s that blew all their money, at a young age.
Yeah.
And, you just didn't have the knowledge or the kind of temperament or the good people around them.
Yeah.
They worked with some knuckleheads that stole their money, other things. So it seems like it's kind of changed, and maybe
sure.
you can speak to that. If does the team help you with that at all, or do they kind of just say, hey, do your own thing and find your own people and we'll make introductions? Because it seems like athletes now really have it start to have a plan pretty early.
No, the NFL does a lot with that. We have meetings all rookie year, finance meetings, and then we have people that come in that are like trusted, invested by the team, will offer to help you find a financial advisor or give you advice finding one, or just you can bounce ideas off them in terms of investing, and they can help you with that. So there's a lot of tools that the NFL offers, and even the Eagles themselves.
Well, you also mentioned further education too.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. The NFL offers schooling and pretty much any trade. You can go back to school and just get a bachelor's degree if you want, or you can go to trade school if you want to be a mechanic, if you want to be a chef,
and they pay for that.
They do pay for that. There's actually a lot of money in it. I think it could be $20,000 a year and more.
Yeah.
We should have just played in the NFL.
Yeah. If you could just make it the NFL, everything gets set up for you.
Yeah, no, but they do a good job, and they offer tools for like taxes. Although it's a little bit easier on the NFL side with taxes because we're treated as W-2 employees, right? So you got to
pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah, we pay taxes mostly up front anyway. So at the end of the year, sometimes you even get money back.
Yeah.
In the track world, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm a 1099 employee. So like my sponsorships and how I make money usually is they pay me all that money up front.
And you got to make sure to.
And then I'm like, I got to, track what I got, and then my expenses, and then how much I owe in taxes, quarterly, or if I pay at the end of the year, which, depends on how active I am, filing extensions and stuff like that. But
I mean, you're running an enterprise here. I mean, because you have different sources of income, and that is nice that you have the 1099 on the track side, because you can write off some stuff
for sure.
Where if everything was W-2, and but yeah, you got to have your stuff together, because things can get weird quick if and on top of that, managing your body, your health, which is your tool to make the income.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about sponsorships as an athlete. Are you able to sign sponsorships that you want to as a professional athlete? Like there's all the restrictions with college athletes, which have changed now with NIL, but as a professional athlete, are you just kind of always looking for potential sponsorships for additional income?
Yeah, you can. I think there's some good and bad in that. I think for me, I'm pretty picky in terms of what I want to endorse, companies and things like that. And that's just because, me personally, I would never endorse something I wouldn't use or that I don't like. So there's a few opportunities that have gone, come and gone, where I'm like, I'm not that interested. And, sometimes, it's not all money is good money, right? Like, I'm not saying that, the companies are bad, but I'm just like, hey, I couldn't in good faith, like, be sponsored by McDonald's if I never eat McDonald's.
Right.
I don't think McDonald's is a bad company or a bad brand at all. I just don't eat it.
Yeah.
So like, it'd just be weird if I was, a McDonald's athlete. Not saying that if they threw me like $10 million,
you'd probably start eating it.
That I wouldn't. But that's the thing. So that's kind of how I look at stuff, and sponsorships, and then also looking at the long term is like, all right, so my main earning opportunities are like the year before and the Olympic year, and then the year after the Olympics. So I got 3 years that's like people really pushing the Olympics. 2024 comes and I win a medal or gold medal. That's like a huge like boost in my like fame.
Value, yeah.
And so then that next year is like, all right, Olympic gold medalist now, is like the guy on the Coke commercial and stuff like that. I would sponsor Coke. I drink Diet. I drink Diet Coke. But that's the thing. So it's definitely interesting. And the NFL is a little bit different because a lot of sponsorships sometimes through the NFL are just like they throw money at you because you're an NFL player. They can just use that like, they like, hey, $5,000, $10,000 here. You're an NFL player and here's some gear and, we're going to have you do an activation or an engagement through social media or even come to do this thing once or twice a year in person.
Right.
And that works too because the NFL is the most popular sporting event in the U.S. and maybe in the world behind probably soccer.
Yeah.
But so
yeah, and we would love you to sponsor Neighborhood Ventures at some point down the road.
Investors, possibly you.
Last question. At least I got one more, but you have invested in multifamily. You mentioned your uncle. Tell us a little bit about that experience. Are you still invested in that? Is it a project that is paying distributions now, or is it coming later? And is it one project you invested in? Maybe just a little bit of a rundown.
Yeah, so I did do a multifamily apartment investment in Chicago with my uncle who lives there, and it was, for me, it was very simple. I was just the billfold. My uncle was like, "Hey, I found this property. This is what it's worth. I think we can, get the price negotiated down. It's being rented on these units right now, so those units are going to cash flow while we're renovating the other ones. And then once those tenants move out, we're going to renovate those, and then we're either going to decide if we're going to rent it or put it up on the market to sell."
Yeah.
And that was all within like a 6 to 8 month span, which is pretty quick in that term of doing the renovations and stuff like that. And then, we did that, got the loan on the property, and then when the tenants decided that they were going to move out, after their lease was up, we renovated all the units, and it was just like 2018 or 2019. The market was doing pretty well, and we sold the whole apartment building. It was like 4 or 5 units, and made like 50% return on the sell price, right? So like, I got my kickback, and I was like, man, this is the easiest. I don't even remember how much money I put in, but I was like, this is like the easiest 40 grand I made ever.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't do anything because my uncle did all the work.
Yeah, it's passive income.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just was like, hey, what's your bank information? I need your tax information. Like, you're gonna get a K.
Yeah, how much did you put in? Do you remember?
I think I put in like 70 grand.
Yeah.
So what is that? Like a little bit over 50% return?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
so
I got my 70 grand back, and then I made 40 grand.
Yeah.
So
and a good, obviously it was a good deal, and somebody who knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
and they spotted it.
Yeah.
And
my aunt's a real estate agent in Chicago, so she bought and sold it on the deal, so she got paid on the front and back. It's a whole family enterprise.
Yeah, you're endorsing multifamily on a multifamily podcast.
Exactly.
But we don't have the money to pay you yet as a sponsorship. Well, we don't need to, because you already did it. If you're talking to somebody who is younger, maybe coming out of college, out of high school, trying to figure out the path. I mean, your path's pretty unique. But somebody who isn't necessarily going to be an athlete, what advice do you give somebody who's trying to hustle, get ahead, invest? Kind of if you look back and talking to yourself at that age.
I think number one is making a plan. Whether it could be different for anybody. Like I made a plan with my financial advisor right in 2017, 18. And then being disciplined to that, right? Like there's been plenty of times where I'm like, I got a little extra cash flow, and I'm like, ooh, I want that new Beamer, or like, I want something cool or whatever. And, I'm like, well, I can't really afford that though, because I know my financial advisor is gonna be calling me in like a month for like my investment, my cash investment. And, I did, I bought a house in Phoenix and then sold that during COVID as well. And that ended up being a good thing for me. Invest, like not really investment wise. One, I lived there, so it was a place I lived, and then two, when I made good cash equity on that after I sold it. And so, that was just kind of the part of the plan, was like, all right, get some money, buy a house, did my multifamily thing, save money, invest it, and now that ball's kind of rolling. And if once you start seeing return on that, you like are more giddy to do that again. I'm like, all right, well, like during like 2019, 2020, 2021, like the COVID swing from like my stocks and stuff, like it was just like pumping. So I was like, oh man, I got to keep beating the beast. And obviously, the ebbs and flows of the market. So it's a long-term thing for me. I'm not interested in pulling that out right now, but it makes you feel good when you're seeing like 40% return in a year, and you're like, whew.
Yeah,
Wow.
makes it a lot easier to pass up on that purchase when you get a nice return on your money. It's almost more fulfilling in a way,
for sure,
than the kind of the short hit that you get with buying something.
And to your point, I think once you understand it and you start seeing traction with your investment, you invest more. And that's like all of our investors. They start off with something small, like $5,000-$10,000, and then 6 months later, they're starting to see the growth, the return. And they come and they write another check for $50,000 and they roll into the REIT.
Once you start making money, like,
you
know, whatever percentage is comfortable for you, obviously there's more risky investments, but then there's a downfall to that, right? Like you're gonna, but you know, some people are just like me, I'm more comfortable with making like 5-10% than just letting my cash sit in a bank.
Yeah. No, exactly.
You know, or whatever it's doing. You know, I know there's, you know, high yield savings account that people talk about, or, you know, you can invest it into the stock market, but like investing into housing is, in my opinion, it's similar and sometimes simpler when I'm thinking about the volatility of the stock market.
Yeah.
Yes, it's gone up over time, but like usually the stock market's more volatile than the housing market, other than the one time in history, like 2008.
Right.
Yeah.
But like over history, it's been pretty like consistent. I feel, you know, just looking at, you know, how I've seen it in my parents, you know, buying houses and stuff like that, and me investing. And then, you know, obviously with the interest rates now, you know, people are a little bit more skeptical, but then there's an opportunity on the other side to make money on the other end, you know, whether it be like interest rates are up, prices go down.
Yep.
You know, and then in a couple of years when the market flips, it's going to be the opposite.
Yep.
The price is going to skyrocket when the interest rates come back down. So you can just see
the other thing that's happened is the cost to replace and to build has gone up.
Oh yeah.
So the value of existing fixed assets is higher because to replace that, we just bought a building earlier this year, 22 townhomes, and we bought it below replacement cost, which is kind of unheard of, but the seller needed to sell it. And we looked at it, and it was going to cost us a lot more to go buy land and build that than to just buy it as is. So those fundamentals, long term fundamentals win. Right now, you know, with interest rates kind of moving so much, it's short term, and so you don't want to get you know, too caught up on that. You want to be aware of it, but also know that over time fundamentals are going to come through. And I also like what you're saying is, you know, I spent first part of my career on Wall Street and realized that the stock market is really, really difficult to really get your head around. And even people who do well in the stock market realize that there's a lot of luck to it. And what I love about real estate is, and housing specifically, is it's easy to understand.
Yeah.
We know people have to live somewhere, they pay rent, and it's important to invest in what we understand rather than just something that we heard our buddies talk about or some hype. Sure. If you understand it, then you know, and you have confidence in that investment, and you can track it over time.
100%. I was telling my my aunt, like, I moved into this apartment complex in Philly, and it's like right in the middle of like a whole bunch of townhouses. It kind of looks weird in where it's at, but it's a nice apartment. It's brand new. I'm the first person that lived in my unit.
Nice.
And I'm like, man, there's 4 buildings, 20 units per building. And I'm like, so that's 80 units, and my rent's like $2,600 a month. And I'm like, man, like those numbers, I'm like, man, I was like, this whole building can't cost more than like $10 million. I'm like, I could, you know, talk some of my teammates into helping me invest and like build an apartment building and make a whole bunch of money. Obviously, that's easier said than done, because one, you have to have the capital to do that, or at least the potential capital to get a loan to do that. And then 2, you have to execute the plan. And then 3, have people manage it, have the right people in place to get people moved in and paying rent. Like, you have to vet the right renters, stuff like that. So, but it's cool.
Not to continue to plug Neighborhood Ventures, but we are on a Neighborhood Ventures podcast. That is like what our investors like.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing the acquisition, we're doing the renovations, we're doing the property management. We're distributing the cash, or we're handling it from start to finish.
Yeah. This is, you guys are taking a little bit of the risk off yourself And the other investors, like personal investors, like if I were to invest, because now the money's all like kind of
and
other places. Like I'm 10K here, 10K there, 10K there, and then you get your percentage, which is nice because then you don't have to invest 10 million.
Yeah, and to your example, that $10 million building, the cool thing with real estate is the bank will lend you 2/3 of that.
Mhm.
So if you're buying a company or a stock and you have the comparable 10 million, you have to come out of that of pocket, all 10 million. But if it's a building, the bank will give you 2/3 of the money because they love real estate. It's a fixed asset. So all you have to get is the other 1/3. And then if you pay as time goes on, you're getting cash flow after you cover your expenses. You're getting cash flow on that asset. Then once it's paid off, now you own it, and it's just the money, the cash flow continues to come in. So it's a long-term game, but we know wealth. So many people who are wealthy built their wealth in real estate. They've put it there. They've let it work for them, and so couldn't agree with you more. Again, really cool to have you in studio. Next bye week next year, we'll see you again.
Yeah, I'll be back.
We'll
hopefully with a couple more properties.
Yeah.
And a Super Bowl ring.
Super Bowl ring.
I'll bring it in.
And
an Olympic gold medal.
Gold medal around your neck. Yeah,
what a year for me.
And we'll pencil you in now for all of those things, the gold medal right after the Olympics, and we'll make sure that we have that one reserved for you. So
okay, cool.
See you then.
Thank you.